Hey y'all, I'm Nakara.
And I'm Brandon.
And welcome to another episode of ... but Make It Books.
A podcast where we are bookishly healing through life. And it's not a secret.
We're not doing
We're
this.
publicly doing this.
Okay.
You know?
We had a debate earlier about speakeasies. I'm not doing this with you. I'm not doing this
What's
with
a
you.
speakeasy? Share with us. Listen, just drop in the comments. What is a speakeasy? What is a speakeasy? That's the question. We'll go from there. Hi. The question is simple.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens.
So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling like I should turn Shaka off in my in my ear. She just hit
you're
that high
listening to
note.
music right now?
It turned
You're doing
on
a lot with a little.
accidentally.
You're doing a lot with a little.
You know, and can.
Okay.
Yeah. What was the question? How am I?
Yeah.
We checking in?
Yes, we are checking in.
It is holiday season.
Okay.
Officially, y'all.
It is.
A lot's happening. A lot's going on. Not even dealing with holiday season stuff.
Okay.
Just a lot's happening. And we also talked about this a little bit, I guess, already. Very appropriate for end of year type of vibes or what have you. But it is looking like perhaps 2025 will bring in alignment of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling the beginnings of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful that I feel good about it.
Yeah.
Whereas before, if you'll start to feel like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to be great. In the past, my reaction was to be like, oh, that means something really bad is coming.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm just grateful for that personal healing journey of just being like, it feels like something amazing is getting ready to happen and coming, and I'm here for it.
I love that.
And that's just it. We
deserve. We
do
deserve.
Yeah. So how about you? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm settling down. I'm reading some pretty good books right now. And just trying to relax. I'm going to spend Christmas with my soon-to-be sister-in-love, because she doesn't like me called sister-in-law. She's my sister-in-love. And so I'm about to go hang out with them in some heat. So I'm excited. And then just chill. I'm just trying to, like you said, I feel like I think 2025 is definitely bringing alignment and certainty in all the seeds that I have sown and we have collectively sown together is bringing in a fruitful harvest. So I love that.
Love that.
We love it.
For sure. Love
it. So today, before we jump into our book, if you could write a letter to your younger self about your worth, what would be the first line of that letter?
I think it would be something along the lines of, you don't see it now because you're not supposed to.
Okay. I don't got nothing that profound.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, I grew up in a setting where a lot of people said things or bestowed things, or, I grew up very religious. So it's like, we're going to put the blessing on, all that. Right. But it's like, when you accept a lot of that and then wash away some parts of it, you see what it is raw. And I'm like, okay, no, there's a reason I speak the way I do. I move the way I do. And always since a kid. So, but I just didn't see it. But now, obviously I do. Back then it was just like, oh, let's just see what everybody else is doing. Let's see what's going on. Let's see over here, over there. And, I tell myself that was working on my interpersonality, my people skills. But at the end of the day, it was definitely for distraction or for just detachment or disassociation from a lot of things. One, because I'm a child and I don't know a lot. Two, I'm a child and I need a lot. It's just a lot of reasons. But I just didn't see something like worth. Yeah. Even though, a lot of people did. A lot of people did. But I feel like maybe I wasn't supposed to yet. Because I think it definitely humbled me. It definitely humbled me. Okay. So we'll see. I don't know. Still seeing, rather, I guess is what it is.
You're gonna be seeing to the day you.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
God's
Still
earth,
seeing.
You know. If it were me, I guess it would be something around the lines of, it's always been in you, ... But
make it books.
You're stupid. ... But just because it's in you don't mean you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot in my life, I feel like I've always felt this very powerful need. And by need, actually it's not need, because I don't need to do nothing but be black. But this desire to be of use when I'm already of use by my presence, or taking on things that are not for me to take on when there are other people who can take this on. But I just feel like it's gotta be me because no one else is gonna do it. I don't need to do that. You gotta let other people step up, because people will abuse, misuse, and just use you up till you dried up, looking like SpongeBob when he up from Bikini Bottom. Just crusty and dry. And so, yeah, I'm not doing that. So that's good. Which ties in a lot to our read today, which is Worthy by the Jada Pinkett Smith. It's funny because this book came out around the time of the Red Table Talk and the entanglements, and that became the word of the year, entanglement. And that joint was hilarity. But anyway, so Jada Pinkett Smith was living what many would view as a fairy tale of Hollywood success. But appearances can be deceiving. And as she felt more and more separated from her sense of self, emotional turmoil took hold. Sparing no detail, Worthy chronicles her life from a rebellious youth running the Baltimore streets as an observer and participant in the drug trade, to the deep bond she shared with Tupac Shakur, from the moment they met to her move to Los Angeles and the successful career she built on her own terms, to becoming the wife of superstar Will Smith and mother to Jaden, Willow, and bonus mom to Trey. A roller coaster from the depths of suicidal depression to the heights of self-acceptance and spiritual healing, Worthy is a woman's journey to finding herself again. So, first thoughts. Finishing Worthy for you. Like, once you finished it, what did you feel? Or do you remember the feeling?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I read it because, like, so going back, I think Jada was my first, like, real deal, like, Hollywood black woman crush. Like, I fawned over Jada all the time. Shout out to Demon Knight from Tales of the Crypt.
Okay.
That short blonde, yo. Moving on. But then I started to grow in like interest in acting and like the profession of theater, film, all that stuff. I'm also already attached to Will at this point, which we'll, get to.
Yes.
Because like he's like my people are already telling me, oh, Brandon, that's your big cousin or whatever. Like just because of the way I act.
I'm cracking up.
You know what I mean? I was acting very Fresh Prince-ish, like growing up. So it's like both of them always danced around in like my interests growing up. And then like, I started growing up and like learning people are not images or facades or characters or whatever that and there's real people behind all of that. And so getting to a point where it's like, I've started to watch the Red Table Talk stuff and yada yada, and just all the other things, just even just random interviews of her just being a person and like experiencing all the things she's gone through. I was like, oh yeah, this is a real like human being who's working through some stuff. Yeah. And like, you got nuggets about that, and then you read Worthy. And it's interesting, I'll just say this, the experiences had happened already, but like the 2020 of the August Alsina entanglement conversation around Table Talk was in 2020, and then this was published in 2023. So I'm interested in that 3-year period where like she had to find that worthiness, because that's also when, I mean, look, everybody talked about Will and Jada,
Yeah.
right? Like the swingers things, the divorces, like whatever, pick a subject.
Are they around each
Are they
other?
around? Like, everybody's trying to be up in their business. But then really interestingly how during a pandemic, everybody still chose to hyperly focus on them, even though, she chose to be vulnerable. She chose to discuss something.
Yes.
No matter, on Red Table Talk, the whole thing is about vulnerability. So it's like, it's interesting seeing how 3 years later, after all of this, and Will's published his book, and I think the Oscars had happened already by that
Oscar
point.
slap happened.
So it's like so much had happened that I feel like the conversation for her even and worthiness had taken a bit more shape. And for me, first read, that's what I got. I was like, I really feel like you've sculpted your own definition of this word. And that's why for her, I guess she decided it was the appropriate title.
Yeah.
And I feel like I saw that, because I mean, and it's just little nuances, like, because of Red Table Talk, I knew about her brother. Because I live here, I know a bit about Baltimore, but just like seeing the specifics that she chose to be vulnerable about in the book, and like it's hard in general being vulnerable.
Yes.
But then when you choose to write like a 300-something page book about it, but then the intention of the healing, which I don't know, whatever behind it, is interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I felt grateful to see this real part of somebody again that I've loved from my whole life.
That's real. I mean, so I read Will first, and then I went to Worthy after. And after I finished it, it actually it was hilarious because they both told a story, the same story, and they both knew they were writing about it, and it was up to them to tell it how they saw fit. And that was very interesting. I also think I toy around with the title Worthy is worthy. I could see her battling worthy of herself, worthy of love, worthy of protection. What does protection mean to her? Worthy of motherhood, worthy of whatever the definition of like being a wife, all of those things is just, it illuminated a lot for me. And I do want to talk about her upbringing and how you think that ties into her mothering. Because she was pretty vulnerable, and by pretty, I mean she told us like how, both of her parents were addicted to drugs, and her mom was addicted to drugs, and like, I don't know what her mama doing now because she looks fine. Because I'm like, listen, Grammy is fine. Gammy is fine. Gammy is fine. I'm like, yeah. I said, girl, can you give me the skincare regimen? Because what is the what? But like how growing up with her mother and all the things she dealt with in Baltimore, being a drug dealer herself, and then the things that she felt like she needed to, I guess, do in order to be a mother.
I mean, that's all multifaceted, because I feel like it's, I don't know. I mean, for one, I could never know.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, and again, it's like I can only expand it to the point of like where I view Black women, and which is that y'all have to wear all those hats for one reason or another. Whether it's because you actually do have to wear those hats, or it's because society, the patriarchy, whoever has told you to. And so when it comes to moments like healing, trauma, healing from trauma specifically, and you have to get through the thick of it rather than doing it in the thick of it. And that's why it's like, it's a I almost don't want to use this word, but for the sake of conversation, that's why it's almost like a brand for her now. It's like she is, and she's still open about how she's sifting and working and moving through all of these things, even in the, how old is Jaden? Like 24, 25 years of being a mother, you know what I mean? And then all of that of being a woman, which is, I think, a lot of what she tied into Worthy. She is a mother. She is a wife. She is a sister. She is a daughter. She's all these things, but she's also Jada. And I think now part of this book is part of her sharing how she had to go through a healing process to be able to say that. And then let alone back it up with whatever she decides she wants to back it up. So it's a long it's a uphill road.
Yeah. I just, in her assessment, her and Will both make the same assessment about what she felt like she had to give up. And she even admits it. She's just like, you know, I felt like I needed to do these things, but Will also said I don't. But I felt like I had to. And as a woman, I'm like, it's funny that we feel as though we have to give up quite a bit in order to be a mom. And then it's lived out in different ways. Like Jaden became an actor. Willow is very interdisciplinary with her music, but I would say punk, like Jada is. She's in a punk band. And I wonder how those visions of, or these ideas of her giving up certain things ties into her marriage with Will. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
So you're asking not about motherhood, but about her marriage. I thought you were asking about motherhood.
No, it is both though, because I think in motherhood she felt, and I'm only guessing from the pages that she shared and Will shared, she felt like she had to show up as super mom because her mom wasn't there as a super mom.
Right.
Because she had to live with her grandparents.
Right.
And her grandparents like really did everything.
Right.
And how she shows up in that way. And how she needs to show up for Jaden and Willow and even Trey.
Mm-hmm.
In ways that none of them asked. They appreciate it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But none of them asked for that. I feel like both her and Will, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, and Will. What I got from the pages was love but resentment.
For each other?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's very public.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't think I'm explaining. I think a part of it, what I'm trying to get to is like, we as women, and of course you can't speak to this because you're a man, but you can speak to things that we do as humans, that we feel like we give up things, and people should always remember that you gave up those things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, so like I said, like it's there are things that I feel like society tells you that you have to carry. So, and or like for whatever reason, so and that is part of that process, like they're given to you, and then they expect you to care about it. And again, like we can gender it, but we don't have to. Like during the holiday season, that's all that people are telling me. White people are calling the store like crazy, telling my black ass I need to do something. You know what I mean? It's like you know what I mean.
You better get over
it. Just
there.
happens.
Get to shuffling them books.
So if we're looking at a person who's a mother, a wife, all that stuff, then of course she's going to have certain things that she's going to have to go through a process of choosing that she can let it go or keep it, because and again, that's why it's like your mother, your sister, your wife, whatever, you're also Jada. Yes. And so it's like, like she had to go through that process. And again, it's like, people often in a trauma response moment become the extreme opposite of what they did not have. And it's in the mind, it's in the makeup. We don't even try to. It just happens. And then once you understand why you're doing that a bit more, you can start to look out for the person who is a mom, who is a great wife, who is a whatever, but also is just Jada.
Yeah. And I also think and of course, you only got one life. She's meant to be born on this timeline at this time. But I wonder who Jada would be if she wasn't born or was born in the time frame she was born in, for example, like the 90s, like not being born in the 90s, but like growing up and being an adult in the 90s, and the feeling that she was like when she screamed and told the story about her being pregnant, that cracked me up. She's like, I know I'm pregnant. And I would crack it up. She said, and like I said, Jaden showed up. I said, I know that's right. So I think about how she has always, from the beginning of her life in Baltimore to her friendship with Tupac to like now, she doesn't feel like a very defined person. Does that make sense? Like is standard. Like she wouldn't follow like you gotta have the kid and get married. I think she would probably always be a mom, but I wonder would she actually want to be in the confines of a marriage?
Well, yeah, that's a question. I mean, I don't
That's
know.
a
That's
question
a
she would have
question
to
for.
answer.
Well,
Yeah.
but that's a question she wouldn't be able to answer. That's a question for the divine, frankly. Like
Yeah.
we have no idea
Yeah.
how any of us would have been like. What if we were born in the '80s? Would we have a podcast?
Probably not.
Well,
Maybe.
how do you know?
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's the point. It's like we can play that game a million ways, but it's like I think she is. I mean, there's an adherence to who she is in all the multifacets of that identity. That, I mean, it could be a product of time and place. It could just be again what I believe to be divine makeup.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she does a lot of rebellious things. Like she was in a punk rock band. And I feel like that gets a lot of her angst out, because I feel like if you're in Baltimore, you got a lot of angst. If you're from here, you just got angst. I think that's just the way we are made up, kind of here. Just a lot of angst. But I also want to touch too on, because I think the biggest reason why a lot of people bought besides people want to know more about her life, is her relationship with Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to talk to you about that. And what was your feeling about how she described their friendship, mutual love of each other? How did you take that, or any gems or anything that was like, okay?
No, I appreciate, like, just as I'm exploring and understanding love, and the dynamics and the poly nature of love. I'm appreciative of models like Jada and Tupac, because it's like, and again, this is why I really liked getting the nuances of just how much she, and then again, this goes back to the black woman, let him do his thing, but also watched out for him and checked in and just knew the vibes, and he knew the same. He did. It was like, and this is what I'm saying. Like, that's love, and you can stamp a title on it however we want, friends, lovers, whatever's. But like, that's love, period. And so it's like, I appreciate seeing relationships these days that are like true, and I seek relationships these days that are true friendships, and I don't always. And again, when I say relationships, I mean everyone I come into contact with. I don't just mean the people I'm romantically or sexually interested in. I mean, my friend's birthday was a couple weeks ago. We're in close enough connection or whatever to be like, yo, I'll see you at the end of the month. So we're going to have dinner tonight. Right. And so I'm taking her to her birthday dinner tonight. Yeah. And that's cool. And it's just like, there's just little simple things like that where it's like, we don't put more of something on what is. And I think that we have to, as humans, but I'm going to go even deeper and say as Americans, we like to define things and identify things and say what things are, compartmentalized, da-da-da. And this is why most of us are sad, lonely, and depressed.
I agree with
so that. I feel like, again, I'm grateful for relationships like, and let's bring it up to today, Rocky and Rihanna. Oh. I appreciate just watching them and have watched them be friends. And now they have 2 kids and they boo and loving and all that stuff. And, they're, whatever. But like, as a Rihanna fan, I've always known that ASAP has been around her life. So it's like, it's been real cool just watching that stuff. Yeah, you're talking to the general of the Navy.
Okay, you're the general of the Navy.
Yeah, for sure. So, for sure. So again, I am looking at, and like, and hey, single people. Tracy Ellis Ross sent out a thing around, or when I say single people, I mean people who are not like publicly and openly married. Yes. That's really what I'm saying.
I know she got something.
I mean, let's be clear here.
Let's be clear.
What I'm saying is how she spoke about how she wanted a relationship that made her life better. And so she is definitely not just going with what's in front of her. Right. She's like, I'm seeking something very specific, very real. And I feel like friendship has to be a part of that conversation. I agree. You know what I mean? So for me, the fact that we call it a friendship is beautiful. Either way, it's love. And that's what really excites me about taking their story and just like you know, just having it back here
Yeah.
and just living my own life,
Yeah.
you know?
No, and I love how they've been in different stages of friendship and love in their life. And I think they needed each other. And it's funny, because I think, especially in America, if a man and a woman are friends, it has to be very, very defined. Because no one believes that a man and a woman could just be friends. Now they did date a little, but like they were really just friends. They weren't really supposed to be together for real, for real. But I find it funny. I find it funny how the men in your life will probably get jealous of the men friends in your life. Your romantic men in your life will probably get jealous of the men who are your friends in your life. Because of some toxic masculinity, patriarchal bullshit America has baked into people's minds. Because that person actually knows you deep. And what you're jealous of is that vulnerability. Because that's what Will was jealous of. That Jada was vulnerable with Tupac in ways that she just couldn't be, because she's known Tupac for all her life. And in stages and places and timelines that you would never even know about. So this was an interesting read for sure. Anything else anything else from the book that you want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I think I'll just highlight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really talk about it, but I'll just highlight the fact that Jada challenges us to go on a journaling walk when you're reading this.
Mm-hmm.
So she asks questions and she asks you to think about it, ponder it, write, breathe, so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the structure of that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you take pauses between the chapters, to think about yourself and just process yourself
Mm-hmm.
and your own definition of worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's a reason, if nothing else, to the first two reasons is, one, it's Jada Pinkett Smith's memoir.
Yes.
So those are the
That's
first two
number
reasons
one.
for me. Pick it up. That's my wife, Will.
Mm-hmm.
No, but three, that is possibly the part of it that I love most.
Yes.
Is the fact that I get to sort of go on this walk with
Yeah.
her.
And I love that by her being vulnerable, which is what you were just piggyback, her vulnerability allows you to be vulnerable and to take in someone else's vulnerability, to breathe in and meditate on what she's saying. Because I think sometimes when people read memoirs, a lot of the times they are not realizing, like, if someone's really showing real parts of their lives and being honest with their memoir, their story, their life story, all the ugly bumps and bruises, you should hold space for that, because they didn't have to share that with you, but they're hoping that this openness will lead to you being open and you open up yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely love that, and definitely love to hear her context of the slap that was heard around the hemisphere. And also how your love languages can change throughout your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did.
And it has the right to change. So yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, I loved it.
Me too. I love it. Definitely pick it up. We have it at Charm City Books.
I love her. Whatever.
Listen, I mean, girl, if you ever in town, we would love to have you here for a signing, but I know you famous.
So come on, girl, come sign these books.
Come hang out with us. I definitely want to ask her more about, like, now after writing this, what was something she wasn't expecting from the publication of her memoir, and what she did expect. Because I'm gonna be very interested to know.
I think I just want to know. I mean, I say this, I'll probably say this, I will say this for every author that we get to talk to, but like, I would want to know about the process of publishing for her. Because she is a figure. This is not just a standard memoir, it's a self-help. There's a lot of raw, real information, and we haven't spoken with any kind of entertainer who's done a memoir. So this is a very interesting kind of question I'd have for if we get to do that with anyone. But
agree.
for her, again, for me personally, I'm like, what red tape did they throw at you?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
You know what I mean? What did they try with you? You know what I mean? So
especially who her husband is.
with who she is. Like, you know, with love, forget Will. It's like her, you know?
No,
It's
I
like,
hear you.
Yeah.
But, you know, unfortunately, when you are a woman attached to a powerful man, unfortunately, the red tape doesn't just include you. It
I
includes
understand
everybody
that.
else.
I understand that.
But she's a Baltimore queen, so I know she said, I will take this book and I will take it somewhere else and I'll shove it up your. Anyway.
So my interests are in the issues
Maybe not as
that
graphic
she
as I
came
just said it,
across that don't have to do with Will. I'll say that for me. Like, because I understand, and it's like and now we're getting into stuff like profiles and A-list and D-list and Hollywood and all that crap. But like, again, and I think, and the point of her book, the fact that the things that she had to go through, period, sans Will, is worthy enough to be apparently an issue for blocking her from whatever tried and didn't succeed. Hallelujah. And stuff like that. So I just want to know from like her side. But
I would definitely be interested in that. And I would definitely be interested in like I mean, there's a lot of things I'm interested about. So just come on in, girl. At that, yeah, ma'am. Come in, ma'am.
And with that,
we wrap up. So this is another episode of ... But Make It Books. I'm Nakara.
And I'm Brandon.
And be easy, y'all.
Thank you. You're worthy.